The drums in the background are being played by our special guest today, Steve Schraeger, member of classic Asbury Park bands Cahoots, Cold Blast and Steel, and Hot Romance, and a classmate of mine from Neptune High School. Like other Neptune alumni, Vinny Lopez, Gary Talent of the E Street Band, and Southside Johnny of the Asbury Jukes. Hello, Steve. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Lee?
I'm doing good. How's things where you are?
Very good, actually.
Actually, you're down in Florida, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I'm in Virginia now.
Virginia. Oh, my goodness.
I moved. Okay. I have some family here, and after 2 years of Florida, I wanted to be closer to friends and family.
Right.
I might get back to Florida someday. You never know.
Yeah, I know. I've got two sisters now in Florida, and they keep asking me, when you coming down? When you coming down? I said, I'm not quite ready yet.
No, I wouldn't go there now.
So with being in Florida and now in Virginia, has your allegiance changed? I doubt that because I see the hat you're wearing.
Not at all.
Okay. Well, let's get to a little bit of your background. And you and I went to high school together. And then afterwards, we kind of lost touch a little bit because I went one way and you went another. But then we sort of hooked up again at the Stone Pony in Asbury Park, New Jersey.
Yeah.
You were playing in a band back then.
One of them. Probably, I don't know, Cold Blast and Steel or one of those.
Or Cahoots?
The Cahoots. Yeah, that was it because you were the main guy there, the DJ.
Well, actually, we started out doing some radio concerts, and we still have that. We play that on Radio Jersey occasionally with Cahoots and a band called The Shakes that Vinny Lopez was part of, and a few others, Salty Dog, Salvation, etc. I don't think I have the Salty Dog Salvation tapes, but we do play, some of the Cahoots music. And of course, the late John Ozer and the late George Thies were integral parts of those. But, I was kind of surprised at that time, after not seeing you for a while, that you were a drummer. So it was great to see you and, of course, rekindle a good relationship that we've had over these years.
Yeah, those were good times. I remember the live broadcast. And, they were fun times for us all. It was a good time in everybody's lives. The music scene was strong. There's a lot going on then.
Yeah, the music scene actually was in its infancy. And of course, it started out at the Upstage, which we were kind of too young to go to, although I know I snuck in a few times myself.
Yeah, me too.
And, back then, of course, everybody was sort of getting to be involved in the music scene, which was sort of headed by Springsteen and Southside Johnny. So I'm sure that Bruce had played with Cahoots at one time or another, didn't he?
Yeah, a couple of times at the Pony. Sat in with us.
And I know there's a famous picture on Facebook of you with Bruce and Patty, his wife. And that was a great, great photo. I think we'll have to resurrect that for one of our editions.
Yeah, that was from a Light of Day show.
Okay.
I'm not sure, maybe 2001 or 2, somewhere around there.
Well, that was actually at a part of the Stone Pony that sort of became famous, and it was called the Back Bar. And back then, well, originally, let me sort of give some viewers some background information. The Stone Pony was a pretty small club when it first started out and had a capacity of about 250. And then the house band Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes became pretty famous, and more people kept coming to the Stone Pony to see the other bands, which includes your band Cahoots. So the owners actually expanded the club and opened up an area in the back, which used to be just the storage for beer, and made the club into, well, it actually doubled its size. But at the back area, there was a bar back there, and most of the locals would just hang out at the back bar. That's all we had. That's all we could say. And that's where most of your friends were. Even though you came for the music, you also came there for the camaraderie. And that was one of the best things about seeing all our friends at the Stone Pony. And it was one of the pleasures of working there for so many years that I got to see people I hadn't seen in a long, long time. And then, of course, got to see them on a regular basis, like yourself.
Yeah, good. It was good times, brought a lot of us together.
That's right.
Right.
And it created a family atmosphere and a community of musicians that is still going pretty strong today.
Yeah.
So let me ask a couple questions, and I'm not sure if I know these answers, but did you play at Neptune Little League?
No, Neptune City.
Neptune City. Okay, so you were across the border.
Right. Yeah, I was in played 1 year minor league. Then I jumped
Okay.
up to the actually it was a tri-borough Little League. And we played in Avon. The field was over in Avon, but just before the bridge on the
So
right-hand side.
it included Neptune City and Bradley Beach and Avon?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so all right, Triborough, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
That was it was good times. I played on a good team. We won a championship my
Uh-huh.
second year. The Browns.
Okay.
We had green uniforms.
I remember playing in Little League for the Giants, and we had green uniforms too.
Yeah, that's funny.
And I'll tell you something really funny about playing in Little League. I had moved from Jersey City to Neptune, and the first year that I was going to play Little League, I had to actually go try out. So all these coaches are looking at other players and everything like that, and I'm not sure if I, hit well or not. But a guy comes over and says, we just selected you, and I said, well, I got my younger brother too. Can he play as well? So we're on the same team. So that's what happened. My brother Michael and I got drafted by the Giants. Turns out that the coach for the Giants was a guy named Frank Stein. And his middle initial was N. So this was a real Frank N. Stein, who was my Little League coach.
That's funny. Did anybody make fun of his name?
No, because nobody knew it until later on. We called him Mr. Stein.
Yeah, yeah.
And other people that knew him and other coaches would call him Frank. Then later on, we found out his middle initial was N.
That's funny.
But we had some great friends back there, baseball friends, and I'm sure you remember the Beekmans. And
Sure.
They were classmates and good friends of ours, and of course teammates as well. So let's get into music. When did you start playing drums?
Well, I was 13. I remember my cousin calling me. I was getting ready to go to a basketball game. And she said, put your suit on. I'm taking you to go see Gene Krupa.
Oh, wow.
You see, I already had in my mind how to play drums. I made homemade drums out of stuff. And I went to that show and it was unbelievable. Then I met him. And he told me, you want to play? Get yourself a set of drums, play to your favorite music. Next day, my parents took me to Abe Lowy's Music in Neptune and bought me a set of drums, and that's what started it.
Right. That's great. So you started at age 13?
Yeah.
So when you were a freshman in high school or just getting into freshman year?
Yeah, that's basically it. Well, actually, I was in 8th grade at the time.
Oh, okay, right, okay.
And then started playing with some friends, a couple guitar players, bass player,
Right, okay.
Started practicing in my living room.
And the guy that we all sort of looked up to at that time, who was a little bit older than us, I won't say how much, was our good friend Vinny Lopez, who we've had on actually in the beginning of our season here on Round the Horn. But Vinny was sort of, I guess, instrumental, and he was somebody that we looked up to, not only as a drummer, but back then as a DJ too,
Yeah.
because we all went to the
uh,
dances.
it's funny, you say that because everybody knew who he was and respected him. And then he used to play with this guy Buzzy Lubinski.
Right.
He played at the CYO dances. Well, when Vinny left to go play with Bruce, I took his place and I played with Buzzy.
I didn't.
And that's where I learned all my R&B stuff.
I didn't know.
Soul music.
Sure.
So we have a connection from that.
Right. And Buzzy was instrumental in exposing music that we wouldn't normally hear on the radio. Oh,
absolutely. I remember he gave me a promo copy of the Average White Band. What is Hip, I think it was? No, that wasn't them.
No, that's Tower of Power. But
I forget what song it was.
They usually covered a lot of Isley Brothers and things like that.
But the record he gave me was a promo copy. I can't remember the name of the tune.
Okay.
His father on Savoy Records.
That's right, yes.
And so he told me, you want to learn how to play R&B and funk right, you go home and learn this. So, you're right. He was, he had every record you could, under the sun.
Right, exactly. Well, and the first DJ that I actually had seen, and he was the only one, and actually I think besides him and Vinny, they were the only two that I had even known of it for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And, basically they had exposed us to music that would remain with us for the rest of our lives. In fact, it was something that, when I started playing live at the Stone Pony, it was natural to play stuff that you had heard before and that, you were sure that people understood it as, dance music back then. R&B was great stuff to dance to. And of course to play when you got into bands.
Exactly. Playing with him, helped me form my, style of playing,
Yeah, you learn from the best.
Yeah.
And especially being inspired by Gene Krupa, meeting him, I think was a great thing for you.
Oh yeah, it was.
Well, let's talk some baseball now, because that's why we're here. Of course, the whole purpose of my show is to sort of talk to music friends about our second love, or sometimes our primary love, of the game of baseball. Yeah. So what do you remember as your first exposure to Major League Baseball?
My grandfather. I was like, I think 8, took me to Yankee Stadium on a bus trip.
Right.
At Bradley Beach. And I remember they played the Minnesota Twins. And I can't remember who won the game, but I remember that feeling of walking into Yankee Stadium, the old Yankee Stadium.
Right.
It's something I'll never forget.
Sure.
Fell in love with it. I already was a big Yankee fan, but to go there and experience that vibe, it's just always remember it and always love it.
Yeah, that old Yankee Stadium had a lot of great memories for me too, as well. And most of it from bus trips from the Little League.
Yeah.
And of course, we all know the history of Yankee Stadium, but to be there in person, there was an aura about the place, which I think kind of carried over to when they revamped it. When they played at Shea for a little bit, and then they redid the old Yankee Stadium, which we still call the old Yankee Stadium. And I'm not sure if that aura came to the new ballpark or not, but to me, it didn't. To me, when I went to Yankee Stadium, I took my daughter to her first professional game. It was almost like there was a Yankee Stadium inside of a shopping mall.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But,
it's
still the Yankees.
It's still the Yankees. That's right. The history of it will never go away.
Right.
Of course, what was the first big league player that you remember admiring?
Roger Maris was my guy.
Okay.
But, before that, I knew of the other Yankees from watching them, Yogi and Whitey and all those guys. But Maris was the guy. that really got to me as a great player. And of
Roger
course, I had to
Maris,
wear number
actually,
9 in
yeah,
Little League.
he was the reason why I actually became a switch hitter, because I started imitating different ball players and their stances. And so,
Interesting.
I was basically a right-handed hitter, because even though I threw lefty, my father had taught me, and we practiced together, and I always hit righty. But it was because of left-handed hitters like Maris and Yastrzemski that I wanted to be a switch hitter and hit lefty. Plus, when I was in high school, the coaches didn't want to expose my left arm to potentially getting hit by a baseball up at plate. So they wanted me to hit left-handed. So that
It's
was one of
interesting.
the reasons. But I mean, the stance of him and Yastrzemski were both unique.
Yeah.
And to watch that, and I'm glad they actually had some time to put on some classic games on TV, because seeing Maris hit that 61st home run was unbelievable.
Yeah, I can remember the call.
Yeah,
Go Rizzuto.
that's right. It was Rizzuto, and I think, was it Mel Allen was there too?
I think it was Mel. Yeah.
It's
Frank Rossetti might have been in the booth too.
right.
Maybe.
Okay. But, definitely, of course, Phil Rizzuto in calling any baseball game was always a joy.
Yeah.
He
He was one of a kind.
one of a kind, right? And Jack Scarangella talks about him all the time. And he's
Yeah.
got pictures of him and Yogi and Phil. And Phil, I know, was a real great-hearted man, and he took care of a lot of charities.
Yeah.
Like one in Jersey City, the St. Joseph's School for the Blind was one of his favorites, along with Yogi. In fact, they were partners, did you know, in a bowling alley?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wasn't that right across from the stadium?
No, it was actually, I think, in Maplewood or,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in Jersey.
yeah, they were close to where they both had lived. And the shopping center is still there, although the bowling alley isn't. And from what I remember seeing not too long ago, I was doing some research that the shopping center was for sale. But
Yeah.
there are pictures online of the Rizzuto Berra bowling lanes.
What a classic that must have been, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if they actually showed up themselves and ran the place, but it might have been a fun time just to be there, or maybe even
Sure.
grab a T-shirt or something. And I don't know if they did that back then, but
Yeah.
maybe a cocktail napkin or
Yeah.
something to that effect. So now that you're in Virginia and formerly in Florida, your allegiance is still in the Bronx.
Absolutely. We'll never leave.
Okay,
Never leave.
that's for sure. With almost every Yankee fan, I don't think anybody ever considered changing loyalties. Although my sister, who's down here now for a pretty long time, she was in San Francisco for a while, so she loved her Giants. And now she's in the Tampa area, and I don't think that she actually considers that baseball.
Well, that's her decision. I'm sure she's still a Yankee fan deep at heart.
Deep at heart, the Giants took over when she lived out in California, and she was in San Diego for a while too. So she spreads her allegiance around a little bit, and it's basically still just a tremendous baseball fan.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, exactly. So famous players that you, besides Roger Maris?
Well, you have to say Mantle. You have to go on and say Mariano, Jeter. There's so many.
Right.
Stick out. But the '90s teams, they had a lot of great players.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to really pinpoint one player, because to me, they all have, their own great talents.
Sure.
Different ways. So.
What about today's players?
Well, I have to admit, I'm a big DJ LeMahieu fan.
Yeah, he got hurt.
Had a hit.
Now he's on the IL again.
And I like the team this year. He's probably my favorite on the team this year.
the
Of
machine.
course, Judge, and with Stanton could stay healthy, that would be nice. Because I
That's
watched him in
true.
Florida, and I
Yeah.
always said to myself, boy, he'd make a good Yankee.
Right.
Unfortunately, he can't stay on the field.
Right.
But, they got a good team this year. Got a lot of good chemistry going on, even though it's a weird season,
Yeah.
what's going on. But thank God we got baseball. And I'll be watching them tonight.
Right.
Hoping to sweep the Red Sox. We'll see.
Still, that rivalry exists,
Yeah,
even
not
though
quite.
it's not a great Boston team this
Well,
time.
I'm just glad we can see baseball.
Yeah. I think it was
Even though
good
it
for a
sucks.
while to take a little break and be able to see all those classic games that we had missed,
Yeah,
and see some of the players that we grew to know and love, especially like seeing Roger Clemens as a Yankee,
yeah,
and then at first seeing him pitch for the Red Sox. He's one of the few that actually came over and kind of saw the light.
yeah.
You had
Oh,
Wade
yeah,
Boggs, who was the first one.
yeah.
Right. And it was great to see Boggs in a Yankee uniform as opposed to being a Yankee killer.
Oh, they both got rings as Yankees.
Right. Exactly. That's the reason why you come play for the best.
Yes. Johnny Damon was another one.
Right. Damon was, and it was amazing to see Damon clean shaven and a
Yeah.
haircut.
You got to do it if you want to be a Yankee.
That's
But
right.
yeah, he got a ring with the
Yeah.
Yankees in 2009.
Right. Hey, do you remember when Mattingly had the problems with George Steinbrenner because his hair was too long?
Yes, I do. I remember when the Yankees got Jack McDowell. See if you
Oh
remember
yeah,
this.
Black Jack, right?
And he dropped the beard
Yes.
thing, and they grew goatees like Manny, a couple guys. Then he stopped it. I guess he didn't like it, George. But that's the only time. It
One
was
of our-
kind of strange because Jack McDowell didn't want to shave
Yeah.
his beard off, I guess,
Right. One of our
It was
previous
funny.
guests was from the Smithereens, Mike Massaros. And Mike was good friends with Jack McDowell and actually played in Jack's band.
Oh, wow.
And Jack's band actually opened up for the Smithereens. That's how they first met. And it turns out when McDowell was with the White Sox, they let Mike Massaros dress in a White Sox uniform and hang out in the bullpen with him.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, isn't
Very
it?
cool.
So,
Yeah.
baseball opens up. Baseball and music have always been a little bit of a, togetherness.
Oh, absolutely.
One hand always attracted the other. And it was good
Absolutely.
to see. And as you can see in our studio here, we've got baseball and music items all over the place.
I see that. What is that? A Dan Electro guitar? I see that.
Absolutely, yes, from Neptune City, New
That's
Jersey.
right. I remember the factory.
Yep. And actually, strange as it may seem, I bought it when I was taking lessons in Bayonne, New Jersey. And didn't realize that the guitar was made in New Jersey. And then come to hear that a lot of people that I know, including Gary Talent and Sonny Ken, actually worked at the factory.
Yeah.
Southside did too, I think.
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember we used to go by there, and they used to throw guitar parts, necks, bodies, in the dumpster. People used to get stuff out of there, and they build guitars. I know Gary Talent built a lot.
Yes, right.
Let me ask you this: did you get the case with the amp in it?
No.
You remember that? They used to sell it at Sears.
They sold them at Sears. You're right. No, I didn't get
Great
that.
idea. The case would open up.
Yeah,
Stand it up, and the amp was inside of it.
that's right. That's right. I've seen them on eBay, in fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing,
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Good
Steve,
guitars too.
we're running out of time here, unfortunately. We could go on for hours.
Oh, we could.
And hours. Thanks for coming by, and all the best to you and your family. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next week.